You are Locked On Browns, your daily Cleveland Browns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. Your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound LGB on the LOB, the Locked On Browns podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Your host, Jeff Lloyd, at Jeff_LJ_Lloyd. Your host, Garrett Bush, at GBush91. We appreciate everybody who makes Locked On Browns their first listen every day. Wherever you get your podcast, make sure you follow and subscribe. Leave those ratings and reviews. Help you guys out with that. Available now on YouTube. Obviously, looking to continue the growth over there. And again, if you are somebody that's always been audio, that's cool. Just run over to YouTube real quick. Hit subscribe. You ain't never got to go back. That's all I ask. Help you guys out with that. Obviously, OTAs this week. Certainly something we're excited about here. Now, this is where you're going to get the mesh. Everybody kind of in the building. Word yet. Hopefully, Jadeveon Clowney in town this week. Whether or not he works out or not, I don't care. But just the thought and the understanding that that is one less thing we got to worry about here for the Browns as we start closing, closer and closer here to the preparation for the 2022 season. G. Bush got a couple of guys he's really looking forward to hearing from this week. Obviously, the coming weeks in the summer. I think everybody, look, we know maybe the top 22. Maybe we know the rest of the wide receiver room, which gets you to 25, 26. The rest of the secondary, which gets you over 30. But we're starting to look at some players here that are going to be in that contention from like 48 to 53, whether or not they can make this team. Garrett Bush got a couple of guys he wants to talk about.
Yeah, let's get into a couple of these dudes. One of the first guy, I'm gonna start with defense first. They always say defense wins championships. I wouldn't be averse to saying that, but I think offense can really help you do a lot of different things. The Cincinnati Bengals kind of showed you that. Let's look at a guy that I think is going to really fit into what the Browns want to do. If you look at your starting linebackers right now, if you check out the Browns depth chart, they're going to have guys like Sony Takitaki in there. Anthony Walker is going to be your starting Mike linebacker. Your weak outside linebacker is going to be JOK. So one of the things that I'm looking at is who's a guy that I could have in there, because for me, I don't necessarily want to have Anthony Walker in coverage. I don't necessarily want Sony Takitaki in coverage, right? So I'm looking for a guy that kind of fits into that scheme of what the Browns are trying to do and be super athletic. And one of the guys that I liked a lot last year was Tony Fields, the second out of West Virginia. And the reason I liked him is because they used him at West Virginia sort of as a poor man's JOK in terms of playing out in coverage, in terms of being able to play with a lot of speed, play with a lot of energy. And I like his athletic abilities. Taki is a guy who is more of a special teams guy. I like he's very serviceable. Like, he's just a guy that you're not going to look up and he's going to have a great game, but he's going to be in his right place. He's going to be able to hold his fort down. But for me, Tony Fields II is a guy I think can really have an impact in the passing game. If you go to your nickel or sub package, you still will have an opportunity to put a guy with a little more mobility, a little better opportunity to read and react than Anthony Walker in coverage. So I like Tony Fields a lot. And you look at his size, he fits one of those molds where he's an undersized linebacker. When you look at his size, 6 foot 222, that's almost cornerback size, right? They got him in the 5th round, and I think when you look at it, he lost a lot of time last year just because of injuries. He put him on the injury reserve list. But I think Tony Fields II is a guy who can really help you out, not so much as a down-to-down linebacker or every down linebacker, but somebody you can see in the sub packages that'll give you a little bit better coverage from that position. Second, go ahead.
No. Well, just real quick on Fields, and I think you kind of hit the nail on the head as far as the comparison maybe to Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. And when he was first drafted out of West Virginia, and West Virginia is a little bit different down there. That defense they run is a 3-3-5. So basically, they're running basically a nickel and dime. Basically, it's just a simple way to call it is we play nickel and dime the entire time. One of the 3 linebackers is going to rush. There's your 4. So there you get to your 2 with your 5 in the secondary. but was after he was drafted, and obviously, going out to some other guys in the draft community, and it was go to when Tony Fields was at Texas Tech. And at Texas Tech, Arizona. Tony Fields was traditionally a safety at Arizona. So, you look at the totality of his college career. Yes, very similar to what Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah did in his time at Notre Dame. Difficult rookie year for him. A ton of mistimed over the summer. Then even when he got in, there was some mistime. Played a little bit later in the year when the season basically was already away from the Cleveland Browns. But this is a guy could be a factor in that room going forward further. Sony Takitaki, the final year of his deal, could be Anthony Walker's final year. So Fields, where now there is no newness, he knows the defense, he knows the systems, health is there, should be an opportunity for Tony Fields to at least give his best showing to see if he can make a mark in that room.
Definitely. I couldn't agree more. I gave you one offense, one defense. So let's get to the defense. We already got the defense. Let's get to the offensive guy. And this is a new dude that's been around for only a couple weeks here. Let's go to the guy that I think has a lot of upside in terms of what he can bring to your roster, because the Browns don't have a guy like this so far on their team, and that is one Isaiah Weston. Now, he came from Northern Iowa, 6'4", 210, rookie. And he, played in one of those divisions where it's kind of, I think it's the same division as North Dakota State. And he's one of those guys where he's gonna be a project. He's gonna be a dude that's gonna, have to work on his route running. He's gonna have to work on getting in and out of breaks. He's gonna have to work on a lot of other things. But one thing that we don't have on this roster is one of those big red zone targets. If you look at our red zone targets, the guy that we have kind of penciled in for that is David Njoku. But Isaiah Weston, as far as an outside guy, a receiver, is a deep threat and is a red zone target. 6'4", 210, has the ability to go up and get the ball 38 plus inches in the vertical. Also ran a 4.4, which is really fast for that size. Good size at 6'4", 210. I think he's going to be a guy that the Browns, obviously he's going to be a little raw. They got a couple other guys that are raw too. Anthony Schwartz and Demetri Felton as well, I think, are projects. So, and sometimes when you get into the, finishing your roster, and the Browns are at the cusp of being called a Super Bowl contender. Sometimes when you get your roster to the point where you can say, hey, we got everything matched up, everything we're going to do, we got a good roster, we just need to throw some pieces and parts in there. And I think you need to develop some guys, and development is key. So the Browns have 3 development guys. I think it would be Felton, Anthony Schwartz, and Isaiah Weston. And if you can get anyone out of those 3 development guys, you can have a high return on your investment, because these guys none of them are first round picks. I think, Schwartz is a 3rd round pick. This guy here is almost a 6th or 7th round pick. So you're not missing anything. And he's undrafted, Isaiah Weston. He's undrafted free agent. So one of those guys you got to always look at. And I like this guy because of his size, athletic ability, and the ability to give us something that we don't have in a receiving room right now.
Ideally, in a perfect world, Isaiah Weston doesn't make this roster. Anthony Schwartz takes the progression leap. Donovan Peoples-Jones continues on his developmental arc. David Bell hits the ground running. You have Jakeem Grant, who's going to get one of these spots due to his return ability. But what you do have is you have a guy 24 years old, so maturity should be there. He's understanding, look, I've got 6 weeks. I've got 8 weeks to find a way to ingratiate myself into this team, into this system, for an opportunity to eventually play for this team one day. But again, I do agree with you. He is kind of the unicorn of the room. 6'4". Ain't nobody else got that calling card. Anthony Schwartz, I got 4.29 40 speed. Ain't nobody else got this. Isaiah Weston brings 6'4". Nobody else in that room has that. Could it be something that works out? We know Deshaun Watson, obviously a lot of ability to break the pocket and basically have to create on the fly. It's kind of easy to do that when you can say, all right, well, where's my 6'4" wide receiver? Because the way we drew this play up, most likely he's got a defensive back on him who's giving up 3 inches. So guess what? I can just throw kind of a YOLO ball here and hope a 6'4" guy with a 3-inch height advantage is going to be able to, make this play for us in this situation. He's going to have a strong camp. Obviously, and he's going to be one of the guys that's going to play early in preseason games and a lot in preseason games. You're not going to see Amari Cooper. You're going to work some of the other rookies in, so the opportunities will be there for a player like Weston. He does bring a lot of size and intrigue. Going to have to make that jump, obviously, not just the jump from the level he played in college to basically FCS. He's going to make that jump to the NFL level, but certainly a fun name to watch here. And this kind of leads to where maybe, our thought process is. Somebody put out a tweet yesterday, about, hey, OTA rookie tweets only mean one thing. If it fits your narrative that you had going into it. But we're going to talk about that a little bit here and what you're expecting to hear, what you want to hear this week. Look, if a guy catches it, he just runs a drill, turns around and catches the ball. Look, we're not celebrating over that. There's certain phrases and key things you want to hear this week, coming from reports out of the OTAs. We're going to get to that here in just a second. Your host, Jeff Lloyd, Garrett Bush, taking you through here on your latest Locked on Browns. Love brownies. But you know what I love more? Brownie batter. Sometimes I eat half the batter just while my wife is making the brownies. Imagine if you could lick the brownie spatula clean and actually get some protein in. You are in luck because Built has a new creation, and this one is better than ever. The Brownie Batter Puff. You heard me right. The Puff takes protein bars to a whole new level, and they are available right now on Built.com. Have you tried the Built Puffs yet? I'm not sure what you're waiting for. Puffs are a chocolate-covered marshmallow protein bar. That's right. Delicious, flavored marshmallow covered in 100% real chocolate. 140 calories, 17 grams of protein, and only 7 grams of sugar. Brownie Batter Puffs are the perfect pick-me-up for any day. All Built Puffs are covered in 100% real chocolate. That means with Built, you can eat healthy and actually enjoy doing it. And they're made with collagen protein, which your body absorbs more efficiently and provides tons of health benefits. The Brownie Batter Puffs will have you completely forgetting that you're eating a protein bar. No need to pinch yourself. This is real life. Go to Built.com to get Brownie Batter Puffs now. Go to Built.com. Use promo code LOCKED15, all caps, no space, and get 15% off your order. Again, promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com.
Locked on Browns podcast, G. Bush, Jeff Lloyd are your two hosts as always. Every single day we give you that Browns content, where you can find us. Listen, you can get us two ways. You can get us anywhere you listen to your podcast, or you can go to the Locked on Browns podcast on YouTube, and we will have videos up there daily. Make sure you subscribe to that. Make sure you click that notification bell so you can know when the videos come out. Don't just hit subscribe. You need to know. Sometimes we try to get it up at the same time. Jeff is a busy dude. This guy got 19 jobs. He hustled. You know what I'm saying? I'm busy. Sometimes we can't get it up at the same time. But so make sure you get that notification bell so you know when we got the content up. Make sure you're following us at GBush91, at Jeff _LJ_Lloyd on Twitter as well. Jeff, OTAs are coming up this week. And you're not going to have any earth-shattering stuff, right? Guys aren't playing in the games. Guys, they're not going to be going full go. But there are some different things that you want to look for and some things that you want to look and check and see to make sure everything's okay and to give you some confidence moving into July and August into your camp. What are some things that you are looking forward to seeing in OTAs to make sure the Cleveland Browns are on that path and trajectory?
The first thing you need to understand is when you're going to talk about rookies going into OTAs, first things first, it's bright lights, it's big city. Holy crap, that's Deshaun Watson. Oh my God, that is Myles Garrett. And it's that type of thing. Negatives are good. It's okay. You're going to expect to hear some negatives about some of these players. And part of it's going to be the way you took a rep, maybe blocking. And if it's an offensive lineman, and obviously Bill Callahan's going to have to go over there and correct it. The thing is, the mistakes are okay, and and there's going to be things. Using this example, obviously with Bill Callahan is, look, my man, that flew where you played in college. That ain't going to fly here when we're trying to do this to Aaron Donald. Those types of things. The biggest thing is correction of mistakes. It is taking coaching. It is taking the vast knowledge that these gentlemen have and bestowing upon you and translating it. And facts are facts. You got to translate that into your next rep. Look, you took a misstep here. That'll never work. And same exact rep. Here we go. Go do it again. Was the attempt there to correct the mistake? That's huge. That's paramount. Because, look, the Browns don't have a lot of room for young players. So as much as they would say, oh, man, we'd love to, it don't work this way. This ain't baseball where, oh, we'll go kick him down to AAA for a couple of weeks and he can work on us. It don't work that way in the NFL. So you want, those are the things, certainly, some of the things as far as the coverage of this, what we're going to hear from coaching staff, things of those nature. What you do want to hear also, is effort, and things of, that is another one that is key. Guys jumping up for reps. Look, Amari Cooper will take as many reps as he wants. But when he doesn't, how many did Michael Woods jump in for? How many did David Bell jump in for? How many did a guy like Isaiah Weston jump in for? And look, God forbid, quarterbacks want to throw 10, 15 extra balls. You better make sure you're out there, because one thing you need to do is you need to ingratiate yourself with a quarterback. And for the Browns, look, it might not be a bad idea to get yourself used to Jacoby Brissett as well. We all know at some point Jacoby Brissett's going to start some games for this team. We all understand that that's going to be a possibility. I mean, not a possibility. It's going to be a probability that at some point Jacoby Brissett is going to take some reps for this team in real games. So you need these young men to basically step up here. And, let's not go just all of a sudden, oh, no, the card house is falling because this kid couldn't do this in an OTA in May. And there also is the probability, Garrett, and you know this, I know this, you dealt with a new coach for the first time. I've never been asked to do that in my life, man. And it's tough to be doing that when you're in an NFL camp. I have never been asked to do this in my life before, but guess what? You're a 5th-round pick. You're a 6th-round pick. You're a 7th-round pick. You're a UDFA. Guess what? Shut up and do it.
I'm more looking for the differences. And you say, G. Bush, what are you talking about the differences? I'm looking to see the difference between the playbook last year and the difference between the playbook this year. Because Stefanski has already been on record saying, hey, we want to do some stuff that's different and do some stuff that Deshaun Watson is comfortable with. Well, if I got a quarterback that can run, I got a quarterback that can get out of the pocket and extend plays. There's some things that we now have that other people didn't. We didn't have these last year. We didn't run a lot of RPOs. There was not a lot of those RPOs. There was not a lot of bubble screens, tunnel screens, or different things like that. There was no read option on the goal line. There was no any sort of quarterback designed run, short yardage stuff. So these are all different things that now I think we're more prone to seeing, especially when you're in a shotgun more often. I think you're going to see them in a shotgun an awful lot. And the thing about Baker, and this isn't really a Baker Mayfield conversation, but Baker struggled when he was in a shotgun. To be honest with you, you go back and look at his numbers, and you look at his interception ratio, you look at his completion percentage. All those numbers took a dramatic drop when Kevin Stefanski was not in things like 2 tight ends running play action, 2 tight end boot, 2 tight end, one tight end, 1 fullback, working off of play action. His numbers are much better doing that. You got a guy like Deshaun Watson is capable of throwing for 5,000 yards, capable of getting you 800 yards on the ground. We don't want him running that much, but you got a lot of options on the table, and I'm interested in seeing in camp the difference, the speed, the different levels of play calling that are going to be in play this year as opposed to last year.
And when you talk about the mobility of Deshaun Watson, and, look, there were times, and we've seen it over the last couple of years, obviously Nick Chubb is a tremendous threat if you're going to go play action. With what this Browns offensive line can do in the run game, just a fake to Nick Chubb. Obviously, everybody's got to conjure on the ball carrier or would-be ball carrier in this scenario. But Deshaun Watson, the more accomplished runner, faster than Baker Mayfield. We've seen a lot of times where Baker would roll out. It would be a wide open tight end, safety coming down, tossing it to tight end, but you're putting the tight end in a position now where he's maybe got to break said tackle. If you have a player like Deshaun Watson, that's where you just get the point. You know what, man? I ain't throwing it to you. Turn around. Knock the safety to the ground. I'm going to get as many yards as I can with my legs. When you throw the football, only one good thing can happen. All the other options are bad of what happens when you throw the ball. It could be incomplete. It could be intercepted. So you're in a scenario where, hey, and if you're talking about maybe a Harrison Bryant, Deshaun, I'm just as fast as you. So instead of throwing it, just go block this dude. And, I will get whatever yardage we can get out of this play. And having certainly a quarterback that you believe is going to bring mobility to the offense. Obviously the RPOs and design runs where Deshaun would keep it. We talk about a guy, obviously both ACL has been redone. I would rather keep him in situations where it's like an emergency. It's a hold card where all of a sudden you didn't oh man, we forgot he's got good legs. Where we don't see it every week. Oh, it's 3rd and 7. Yep. They're tight on Amari. They've been over on Njoku. Oh man, Deshaun just went up the middle for 14. Nobody saw it coming. So I think it's being able to use Watson's running ability, not overusing it, but understanding that it is, it's certainly a hold card that can be pulled out at any given time. He's got the ability to certainly move the chains with his legs. Let's not make it essentially a priority. It's something you keep in your back pocket for certain situations similar. Baker Mayfield, the rollout run that beat Pittsburgh to clinch the playoff game in week 17 in 2021. You have that in your back pocket if you need it. And there will be times. Look, there's going to be times where, the defense is ahead of the offense and you're going to have to pull something out that defense wasn't ready for. And Watson's ability to run the ball is certainly one avenue that Coach Stefanski has with that. I've got a little gripe, and we're going to get to that here in segment 3. A lot of people, it seems like the AFC North has decided. And if we go back one calendar year ago, it kind of was the same scenario. So I don't know, we should just be handing anything out just yet. We're going to get to that here in a minute. Garrett Bush, Jeff Lloyd, your latest Locked On Browns. Now's as good a time as any, guys. Subscribe to the Locked On Browns podcast. On YouTube, make sure you're following, subscribed on whatever podcast platform you use. 5-star ratings, written reviews, all the rage, kids.
Welcome back to Locked On Browns podcast. G. Bush, Jeff Lloyd here in the building. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast wherever you eat your podcast, and make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Jeff, before we went and left and went to break, you was kind of salty about something, man. You was kind of upset, man. Some of the predictions, some of the prognosticators got under your skin a little bit. I feel you though, man. There's a little bit of, I get the AFC North is a really good spot. I know that we got good teams. It's the Steelers, it's the Ravens. Bengals are the new upstart team. They got Joe Burrow, went to the Super Bowl last year. You kind of think they crowning somebody prematurely. Who do you think they're crowning prematurely here?
My issue, and I go back to the position anybody doing Cleveland Browns coverage was 1 year ago at this exact time. What was the thought process? It wasn't almost even Cleveland Browns in the AFC North. It was Cleveland Browns and possibility of being a Super Bowl contender. And look, the Bengals, to their credit, had a strong year. Offense looked like a juggernaut. Is Joe Burrow, in the state he's in right now, a better quarterback than Baker Mayfield was 1 year ago? No question. I'm not trying to go that route. I just don't understand. Look, they're not the Kansas City Chiefs where this has become the norm in the last few years. They are not the Buffalo Bills where, playoff football, good playoff football has been the norm for the last couple of years. It seems odd to me that it seems like it's predetermined that the Cincinnati Bengals are going to run it back and win the AFC North this year. Moves made, upgrades made, yes, but other than the Pittsburgh Steelers, I don't think there is any team in the AFC North you're not going to see the same things about, or upgrades made, or improvements made. Baltimore Ravens, yes. Certainly the Cleveland Browns, upgrades and improvements made, yes. No question in that regard. So I just go and if I were Cincinnati fans, look, you got to the Super Bowl last year. I certainly, how some of those games were won in the playoffs to get you to the Super Bowl. You won them. Some of them, maybe the other team lost them as well. But look, obviously the opportunity's there. You get it. You take it. Nobody cares about how you pulled it off. But I just feel like the Bengals are being handed something, and all of a sudden, like, we're confusing the Bengals 2021 season. Like, this is a 4 or 5 year run, and this has just been the way it's always been in Cincinnati. And I think everybody kind of made the same mistake last year with the Cleveland Browns and just felt that, okay, well, it's, overnight, everything has changed. Now, this is all of a sudden, this is a franchise that you can book, count on, and they're going to do everything right because that's the way it is now. Cincinnati, you can say whatever you want. It's never been the case down there. For the Browns since 1999, it's never been the case here. I don't know. For me, it just seems way, way too premature to assume. And look, the other thing is and not a knock on Jamar Chase or any of that thing, but a lot to tape now. Last year, Jamar Chase hadn't played the fall before at LSU, sat that season out during the COVID year. Certainly, I think probably took a lot of people by surprise last year. This year, if it's going to be the Bengals beating you, it's going to be more T. Higgins. It's certainly going to have to be Tyler Boyd. People ain't going to let Jamar Chase catch a slant and take it 75 yards to the house like 8 times, whatever it was last year.
Every other week.
Yeah, I mean, the Bengals are going to have to go out and earn it this year. Last year, they kind of snuck around, stayed in the hunt. Some teams started to decline. The Bengals started to play better. But I don't think, from what I saw from the Bengals last year, that all of a sudden we're just saying that the Bengals are just ruling this AFC North for the next couple of years. I just don't see it in any way possible.
No. I think what people are seeing is, Joe Burrow is really good, man, and he's good. He's good at doing a couple things. He gets the most out of his teammates. He gets the most out of those guys, especially the receivers. So he's done that in everywhere he's went. He's done that in LSU. He's done that in Cincinnati thus far, and he did it again, taking his team to the Super Bowl after only the second year. But I think you bring up a very good point. Jamar Chase had so many big plays last year. I mean, his big play total. I mean, it was every other week you would see him catch a slant, catch a dig, or get vertical and just take these long plays to the house. And yes, that's a great thing to have. That's awesome. But generally speaking, that's not replicatable over large sample sizes. No one takes the ball to the house unless you're a guy like Tyreek Hill. You're a guy like Tyreek Hill or you're a guy who's Randy Moss. And even after a while, they couldn't do it like that. So do I expect him to be consistent? Sure. I think he's always going to be a 1,300 yard receiver minimum. I think that's just what his floor is. Here's my problem with the Bengals. They have a really good passing game. Do they have the offensive line? Do they have the running game to submit and put games on ice when they need them? Do you really got
a lot of games are won late by Joe Burrow?
Late,
exactly.
A lot of games, because some teams you're gonna play ain't gonna let you get that off. And you said something about the playoffs. The Tennessee game, arguably you could have took that L. The Chiefs game, arguably you should have took that L. Here's the thing: they went in and found a way to win, and you got to give them credit for that. But this is not a replicatable year-to-year thing. I don't think the Bengals should be going into the season as a prohibitive favors. As a matter of fact, if you ask a bunch of people, where do you got the Bengals coming into this season? They say 8, 7 in the AFC, maybe 7, somewhere around there. They wouldn't say they would put them over some of these juggernaut teams or teams that have really good rosters. So I'm with you. I've already picked it, and I told you when we did one of the first episodes, Bengals are taking a step back in my book.
I'm definitely with you there. Official now as of 9:24 Wednesday morning from the Cleveland Browns. Jadeveon Clowney has been re-signed. So obviously now we have that official. You can take the words. But
officially.
Nice. Yes, always nice to know when you got pen to paper, baby. Pen to paper, which most likely means, folks, that Jadeveon Clowney is in the facilities this week. In what capacity he'll be a part of things, nobody knows. Got to some things here. Garrett's got a couple of sleepers to watch out here for OTAs. Certainly, what we're looking to hear and things you want to hear from coaches and obviously reporters with OTAs this week. And, I'm not conceding anything here with the AFC North as far as 2022. I'm not even saying there's a lot of ball game left. There's all of the ball game left as far as the AFC North is concerned. We appreciate everybody with your continued support for Locked On Browns. Now on YouTube, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. Still available on whatever podcast platform you use. Make sure you're following, subscribe to the show. We'll continue here throughout the week here. Closing in on almost 2 weeks now. It feels like Garrett's already been around for a month and a half with the soft openings we were doing with some appearances. Yeah. So certainly, excited, for the next growth and the potential of the next few steps here over the coming months, year for Locked On Browns. All you longtime supporters, all you new supporters, means nothing but the world to me. The support you can give to the show, give to Garrett and I, just great stuff. Covered a ton here. We'll continue to cover a ton. With that, this has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound. LGB on the LOB. Let's go Browns.